Have you ever felt like no matter how much you rest, you're still tired? Not just physically, but deep in your soul. You wake up exhausted, you go to bed anxious, and somewhere in between, you feel like you're constantly running, but never arriving. Here's the part no one tells you. Burnout isn't just about doing too much. It's about being disconnected from what restores you. And thousands of years ago, long before productivity hacks, morning routines, and self-help trends, there were simple ancient habits that didn't just manage stress, they restored the human soul. Today, I'm going to show you 3 ancient biblical habits that can begin to heal your burnout, starting right now. Let's begin with a story. In 1 Kings 19, we meet a man who should have been at the peak of his strength. Elijah had just witnessed one of the greatest victories in biblical history. Fire fell from heaven. False prophets were defeated. God's power was undeniable. But immediately after that victory, Elijah collapses. Scripture says in 1 Kings 19:4, "I have had enough, Lord. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." This isn't physical weakness. This is burnout. He runs into the wilderness, lies down under a tree, and asks to die. But what happens next is where everything changes. Because the solution God gives him is surprisingly simple. And it leads us to habit number 1. The first ancient habit that heals burnout is sacred rest. Not just sleep, not just taking a day off, but intentional, God-centered rest. When Elijah collapsed, God didn't give him a lecture. He didn't say, "Push harder." Instead, he let him sleep, then fed him, then let him sleep again. Before anything spiritual came rest. There's something powerful here. Burnout often makes you feel guilty for slowing down, but Scripture shows something different. Rest is not weakness. It's obedience. In a world that glorifies constant hustle, sacred rest is rebellion. It's saying, "My worth is not based on my output." Even God rested on the 7th day, not because he was tired, but to set a rhythm for us. So, if you're burned out, your first step isn't to do more. It's to rest, intentionally, regularly, and without guilt. But rest alone isn't enough, because even when your body is still, your mind can still be racing. Which brings us to habit number 2. The second ancient habit is stillness and prayer. After Elijah rested, God didn't show up in a dramatic way. Not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in a gentle whisper. And here's the truth: you cannot hear a whisper in a noisy life. Burnout isn't just physical exhaustion, it's mental overload. Too many voices, too many notifications, too many expectations. Stillness creates space for clarity, for peace, for God's voice. And prayer isn't just asking for things, it's releasing things. Anxiety, pressure, fear. It's saying, "I don't have to carry this alone." Even Jesus, constantly surrounded by people, demands, and urgency, regularly withdrew to quiet places to pray. If he needed stillness, so do we. So here's a simple practice. Start with 5 minutes a day. No phone, no noise. Just sit, breathe, and talk to God honestly. Not perfectly, just honestly. You'll be surprised how quickly your soul begins to breathe again. But even with rest and stillness, there's one more piece most people are missing, and it might be the most important one. The third ancient habit is purposeful community. After Elijah's breakdown, God didn't tell him to stay alone. He gave him people, support, companionship, shared mission, because burnout thrives in isolation. When you're alone with your thoughts, everything feels heavier. But something shifts when you're seen, when you're heard, when someone reminds you you're not alone in this. The early church understood this deeply. They didn't just believe together. They lived life together. They shared meals. They prayed together. They carried each other's burdens. And in doing so, they created resilience. Here's the truth. You weren't designed to carry life by yourself. Healing often happens in the presence of others. So if you're burned out, don't withdraw. Reach out. Even one honest conversation can begin to lift the weight. So let's bring this together. 3 ancient habits: sacred rest, stillness and prayer, and purposeful community. These aren't complicated, they're not trendy, but they are powerful. Because they don't just treat burnout, they restore the soul. Remember Elijah? After rest, after encountering God in stillness, after receiving community, he didn't stay under that tree. He got up again. Not rushed, not pressured, but restored. And maybe that's where you are right now. Not broken, just depleted. Not finished, just tired. And what you need is not more pressure, but deeper restoration. If this message spoke to you, take one step today, just one. Choose rest, create stillness, or reach out to someone. And if you want more content like this, practical, faith-based ways to heal, grow, and reset your life, make sure you subscribe, because your burnout is not the end of your story. It might just be the beginning of your restoration. And I'll see you in the next video.